open. So in the previous class, we have started a distributed memory, right? Any doubts you have in that? So we have seen what are the challenges that we are facing, and we have taken a business example and we have referred to all the challenges. And now we will see each challenge in detail. Okay. First, one of the challenge we have discussed in the previous class is heterogeneity. So if we take a distributed memory, that the distributed system, it should be in a position that it has to interoperate across different operating systems. So operating systems can be different, each customer or each person is using, but still it has to be providing the support. Then the hardware architecture itself can be different. Then the communication architecture also can be different, and different programming languages they can be using, and software interfaces can be different. The security measures that they are having the support, that can be different, and the way the information is representing in their system, that also can be different. So when we have this much variation, okay, so then also the distributed system that we are designing, it should be operating in this scenario. Okay, so that is why heterogeneity is one of the challenge when we are developing a distributed system. Then coming to the transparency. So transparency, we have discussed that it has to be transparent to the users. So if you see the ISO reference model for open distributed processing, that is ODP, it identifies different kinds of transparencies that we have to enable in distributed system. First one is access transparency. So access transparency in the sense it has to provide access to local or remote resources. Okay, it has to be identified. So either if you take local resources or it can be the remote resources, the access that has to be provided, it has to be identified. Example, we can take NFS or Dropbox. Then location transparency. So access we can have without the knowledge of location. We don't know from where the resources we are being used, but we have the access to the resources. That is separation of domain name from the machine address. We don't know from which machine that turned up. Then failure transparency. So tasks can be completed despite failures. Whenever failures are being happened, then also we can perform the implementation. So example is message retransmission. We don't know that the message has been retransmitted, but we will be verifying only the message has been transmitted on. But whenever there is failure, the message will be retransmitted. And failure of a web server node should not bring down the full website. If one node is failed, so the entire website should not be crashed. So this is another challenge. Then replication transparency. So access to replicated resources as if there was just one. So we don't know how many replications of the data is available, but it should not show that these many replications are available. That information will not be provided, but we can use it as if there is only one resource related. And it provides enhanced reliability and performance without knowledge of the replicas by users or application software. So this is called as replication transparency. Then migration transparency, we can call it as mobility transparency or relocation transparency also. Here it allows the movement of resources and clients within a system without affecting the operation of users or applications. So example is switching from one name server to another at runtime. So dynamically it is doing, and migration of an agent or process from one node to another. So in such kind of scenarios also it has to allow it. Okay. Then we have concurrency transparency. So a process should not notice that there are others sharing the same resources. Okay, if I want some memory, so some storage, I am using implementing it using distributed system. The resources are available, but the same resources may be shared by other people also. So, but that information we should not be able to get. Then performance transparency allows the system to be reconfigured to improve the performance as the loads are being varied. So we can perform a dynamic addition or deletion of the components, and sometimes we can switch from the linear structures to hierarchical structures when the number of users has been increased. So at that time also it has to be transferred. Then scaling transparency. So allows the system and applications to expand in scale without changes in the system structure or the application algorithm. Then application level transparency. So here persistence and transaction transparency has to be there. So persistence transparency in the sense it will mask the deactivation and reactivation of the object. So masking will be done here. And transaction transparency, it will hide the coordination that is required to satisfy the transactional properties of the operation. So what are all the transactions happening and what is the property of each transaction? So that coordination it will be handy. So that is the transparencies that we have to provide. So these are all that come under distribution transparency only. So what are all those? Access, location transparency, failure, concurrency, performance, scaling, application level transparency, then replication and migration transparency. So all these has distributed system has to be provided. So if we want to provide all those things, this is also considered as one of the challenge for distributed system. Then fault tolerance. Fault tolerance in the sense whenever failures are happening. So what is the failure first? So if there is a offered service which is no longer complies with its specification, that is, it is no longer available or it is very slow to use. So then we consider it as a failure. Fault. Fault is nothing but it is the cause of the failure. So example, it is a crash of a component. So here what we have to provide is that we need to provide fault tolerance. So no failure despite faults. So whenever there is fault is happening, failure should not happen. That is programmed in order to handle the failures, and whatever the programming it has been done, whenever failure is happening, the user should not be knowing. And the fault tolerance mechanisms are we need to have fault detection. First, we need to detect the fault that we can do using checksums algorithm or heartbeat algorithms. Then masking the fault, that is retransmission of the corrupted messages or redundancy. And fault toleration we can perform using exception handling and timeouts, and fault recovery by using the rollback mechanisms. And then coming to the scalability. So system should work efficiently at many different scales. It can be ranging from either small intranet to the internet. And it remains effective when there is significant increase in the number of resources and the number of users. And what are the challenges when we are designing the scalable distributed system is cost of physical resources. Cost should linearly increase with system size. Then performance loss. So for example, if we take the hierarchical structure data, so the performance loss can be such due to data growth, and it should not be beyond order of log n, where n is the size of the data. And preventing software resources running out. Okay, if we are using the numbers that are used to represent the internet address, so we are preventing it. So it should be in this range. And year 2K problems. So if you want, you can go and refer to this year 2K problems. When the 2000 year we have entered, so there was a lot of issues because the date, some issues were happening. So it is not able to store the proper data. So some issues have been happened. So we have to prevent the software resources. They should not run out. And avoid performance bottlenecks. So we can use decentralized algorithms. So we can move from centralized DNS to decentralized. So the next challenge is concurrency. So it has to provide and manage concurrent access to the shared resources, so that we can perform by using by performing fair scheduling of the workload, and we can preserve the dependencies, and then we can avoid the deadlocks. And then coming to the openness and interoperability. So open system is the key interfaces. It has to be published to the customers. So the open distributed system, it will have uniform communication mechanism and the published interfaces to the shared resources. If you take open distributed system, there will be heterogeneous hardware and the software. They can be from different vendors. Okay, hardware and software, it can be from different vendors. But conformance of each component to published standard must be tested and verified for the system to work correctly. So these are all some of the developers for open specification standards, ANSI, IETF, 3C, ISO, IEEE and all. Then the next challenge is security. So resources are accessible to authorized users only and used in the way they are intended. Okay. In security, what and all we have to provide? First thing we have to provide is confidentiality. So confidentiality in the sense the protection against disclosure to unauthorized individual information. So when there is a particular agreement, so it has to be abided with that particular agreement. So it is the confidentiality. So if you take access control list, they will provide authorized access to the information. So integrity. See, it is protection against alteration or corruption. So example, we can take changing the account number or amount value in the money app. So here it is, it has to provide the integrity. So it should not be able to do all the steps. Then availability, it is protection against interference targeting access to the resources. So whenever there is some attack, still the users can be able to log into the system. So we have to be providing the access to the users in case of the DOS attacks or DDoS attacks. That non-repudiation. So it is the proof of sending or receiving an information. So to whom the information has been sent and who has been received the information. So that proofs we can provide using the digital signatures. There is a security mechanisms that are available is encryption mechanisms we can use, authentication mechanisms we can have, then authorization mechanisms. So if we take encryption, blowfish, RSA, so these are all will come under encryption mechanisms. Authentication is by using providing some passwords or public key authentication algorithms. So by using them, authentication can be provided and authorization can be provided by using access controls. So if you see the summary of DS, so distributed systems are everywhere. So internet enables users throughout the world to access its services from anywhere. So resource sharing is the main motivating factor for constructing the distributed systems. And construction of DS, it produces many challenges such as heterogeneity, openness, security, scalability, failure handling, concurrency, and transparency. And distributed systems, they enable globalization by using community, science, business, entertainment. So all those things, okay, globally we can perform using distributed systems. So these are some of the references related to this. So that is about distributed systems. Then we are moving to the distributed shared memory approaches. So we know what is shared memory and we know what is distributed memory. So we are combining both and we are providing some approaches. So that is called as distributed shared memory approach. So how to share the data between distributed processor nodes. So distributed shared memory. So it is the abstraction to share data between distributed computers. So there are some distributed systems and we are providing some access for the shared memory. Okay. So it enables access across multiple distributed physical memory to access a single shared memory. And this is the DSM abstraction. So we have processes. Okay. And for each process, we have physical memory. And this physical memory can be accessed as shared memory in a logical manner. It is in virtual only. Okay, it is not physically shared. It is virtually shared. So that is distributed shared memory. So working of DSM EPC, DSM enables easy access of individual computer shared data items. And DSM runtime support sends updates as messages between computers. And each computer will have local copy of recently accessed data items stored in DSM. So local copies, it has to be shared. So shared memory request for a non-local piece of data will be raised whenever it is required. So a single copy of the data will be fetched and it will be given to the requested system. And if there is multiple machines accessing the data at the same time, then synchronization mechanisms we can use for handling that situations. And read operation we can perform for shared variable, and write operation we can perform for the data and the shared variable. Both has to be. And the issues that we will face using a DSM is that so structure and granularity, that is the data shared at the bit, either it can be bit level, word level, or page level. And consistency, if there is multiple requests for single data and each machine is trying to update it, consistency has to be maintained. So this again comes under cache coherence situation, because here again we are moving to the shared. Okay, if it is only distributed, such kind of problems will not occur. When we are moving for the shared, the consistency, data consistency problems arises. Then heterogeneity. So accommodating different data representations of different machines, so languages and operating system. Then scalability. So we need to look onto the bus latency. It can be either increased or decreased. Then broadcast message, it can be increased or decreased. So everything we have to keep in mind. And if you see what is the difference between DSM and message passing. So message passing we are using for sending the messages in distributed system. And DSM is, it is a shared model for a distributed memory. So in DSM, if you see, there is no marshalling of messages. So there is no packing of the messages. But in message passing, marshalling and unmarshalling both operations has to be performed. And synchronization in DSM we can have with semaphore or logs, whereas in message passing it is by message passing primitives. 1 minute more. As you can see in the synchronized DSM, we can provide the synchronization using semaphores or logs. But in message passing, we will provide a synchronization using message passing primitives that we will see in next classes. So in DSM, the processes can communicate with the non-overlapping lifetimes, whereas in message passing, the processes they will communicate at the same time. And efficiency in DSM, it heavily depends on the pattern of the data access by multiple machines. So the machines, how they are accessing the data. So based on that, the DSM efficiency will be there, but same will not be true for the message pass. And then coming to the features of DSM, the space, it will be uncoupled, time also uncoupled, and the state-based services. What is the initial state? What is the next stage? What is the final state? So it is the state-based service, and it is used for parallel and distributed computation, and it provides limited scalability, and it is not associated. Okay. So what you do is that if there are any doubts, you please tell me. I will try to address you. So DM and DSM. Okay. If there are no doubts, I will move forward. So what is distributed system? I think till now we got an idea. So it implements the shared memory model in distributed systems, which have no physical shared memory. So this is important. No physical shared memory. So it is logically shared. So the shared memory model, it provides a virtual address space shared between all nodes. And to overcome the high cost of communication in distributed system, so DSS systems, it will move the data to location of access. And how it is done? So in DSM, the data will be moving from main memory and the secondary memory within the node and between main memories of different nodes. And each data object is owned by a node. So the initial owner is the node that created the object, and ownership can change as object moves from node to node. And when a process accesses the data in the shared address space, so there will be a mapping manager which maps the shared memory address to the physical memory. So this is how the mapping manager will be working. So what is the role of mapping manager? It will map shared to physical memory. So this is the shared memory. So the mapping manager will take the shared memory and it will convert to the physical memory. So the mapping manager, it will be in between the nodes and the shared. And then what are the advantages of DSM? So the data sharing is implicit. So it will hide the data movement and it will pass the data structures containing the pointers. So because of that, it is easier. But in message passing, the data will be moving between different address space. And entire object we can move to the user. So advantage will be there of locality difference, and it is less expensive because we can build tightly coupled multiprocess system, and it has very large total physical memory for all the nodes, and there is no serial access for common bus for the shared physical memory, and programs written for shared multiprocessors also can be run on DSM with minimum changes. These are some of the advantages, and we have algorithms for implementing the DSM. So what are these algorithms will be providing or enhancing some of the issues. So first issue is how to keep track of all of the location of remote data and how the communication overhead can be minimized when we are accessing the remote data, and how to access the concurrently remote data at several nodes. So all those issues we can solve by using the algorithms. So first algorithm we have is the central server algorithm. So the central server, it will maintain all the shared data. So here we have read and write request in central server. So read request, it will return the data item. write request, it will update the data and returns acknowledgement message. Okay, and how it will be implemented? So there will be timeout, which is used to resend request whenever acknowledgement is failed, and associated sequence numbers can be used to detect duplicate write request. And if an application's request to access the shared data fails repeatedly, so the request is failed repeatedly, so the failure condition will be sent to the application. And here we will have the issues can be related to the performance and reliability. So we have to take care of that. And the possible solutions for those issues is we can partition the shared data between multiple servers, and we can use a mapping function for distributing or locating the data. Then the next algorithm is migration algorithm. So in central server, we have only read and write. But here in operation, we have ship. Ship is that is migration. So we will ship entire data object. So the data object is page and block containing the data item to request location. And it allows only one node to access the shared data at a time. So advantages, it takes advantages of locality of reference, and DSM, it can integrate with VM at each node. So because of that, it will make DSM page multiples of VM page size. And a locally held shared memory can be mapped into the VM page address space. And if the page is not local, then the fault handler, it will migrate the page and removes it from address space at the remote node. And how to locate the remote data object? For that, we will use the location server, and it will be maintaining hints at each node. Then we can query the broadcast. And what are the issues we will face here? Only one node can access a data object at a time, and thrashing can occur. So in order to minimize it, we will set the minimum type, the data object it will be residing at a node. Then the next algorithm is read replication algorithm. So it replicates data objects to multiple nodes, and DSM, it will keep track of the location of the data object, and multiple nodes can have read access or one node write access. So it can be called as multiple readers and one writer protocol also. And after a write, all the copies we have to invalidate or update it. And DSM, it has to keep track of locations of all copies of data objects. So for implementing it, we have IV and plus. So in IV, owner node of data object nodes, all the nodes that have the copies, and plus there will be distributed linked list which keep track of all the nodes that have the copies. So advantage is that read replication, it can lead to substantial performance improvements. The ratio of reads to writes is large. Then the next algorithm is full replication algorithm. So it is the extension of read replication algorithm. In read replication, we have multiple reads and one write. But here we can perform multiple nodes can read and multiple nodes can write. So it is nothing but multiple readers and multiple writers protocol it is following. And here the issue we will face is consistency of data for multiple writers. So the solution is we can use gap-free sequencer. So that is all writes will be sent to the sequencer, and then sequencer will assign a sequence number, and based on that it will send the write request to all the sites that are having the copies. And then each node, now it will perform the write based on the sequence number because sequence number has been assigned. So if there is a gap in the sequence number, it will indicate that the write request has been missed. And for that, the node will again ask for retransmission of missing write request. So this is possible because we are having a sequencer here. So because so this gap sequencer is the solution for the consistency. And here also memory coherence issues will occur because so the DSMs are based on replicating the shared data objects, and concurrent access of data objects has been provided at many nodes. So because of that, coherent memory, what is coherent memory? When value returned by read operation is the expected value, and the mechanism for controlling or synchronizing the access is memory coherence has to be maintained. And here the consistency has to be taken in multiple levels. It can be either sequential consistency. So the system is sequentially consistent if the result of any execution of operations of all processors is the same as if they were executed in sequential order. And the operations of each processor appear in the sequence in the order specified by the program. So then we call it a sequential consistent system. So then general consistency. So all copies of memory location eventually contain same data when all writes issued by every processor have completed. Then processor consistency. So operations issued by a processor will be performed in the order they are issued, and operations issued by several processors may not be performed in the same order. So if it is by one processor, then it will follow the order. If it is done by several processors, so operations by several processors, then no need to maintain the same. Then weak consistency. So memory will be consistent only after synchronization operation. So the regular data access can be performed only after all previous synchronization accesses have been completed. Then release consistency. So here it is a relaxation for weak consistency. So synchronized operations must be consistent with which each other only within a processor itself. So synchronized operation is acquire, lock, that is lock and unlock operation. So the sequence for consistency here is first we will acquire, that is we will perform lock, and then we will access the particular data object or resources, and then we will release it. So we have coherence protocols for this. So how do we ensure that all replicas have same information, and how do we ensure that nodes do not steal the data? So for that purpose, we have some protocols. So I think I'll stop here and we can discuss in the next class. So today we have discussed what are the challenges by distributed system in detail, and then we have discussed related to the distributed shared memory. Okay. So if you have any doubts, please ask me. My attendance is not open. All of you answer your attendance, ma'am. Nilkant,
Yes, ma'am.
Jignesh,
Present, ma'am.
Ayush, Ishwar Reddy, Abdullah Farhan,
Present, ma'am.
Bhavraj, Yash,
Yes, ma'am.
Nivas,
Present, ma'am.
Parth,
Present, ma'am.
Nidhesh,
Present, ma'am.
Dasari Anirudh,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Ram,
Present, ma'am.
Gokul,
Yes, ma'am.
Saurabh,
Present, ma'am.
Somesh,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Nitin,
Present, ma'am.
Satyasri Narayanan,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Raghavendra,
Present, ma'am.
Harika Sai,
Present, ma'am.
Vaibhav Prakash,
Present, ma'am.
Sanjit,
Present, ma'am.
Ninan,
Present, ma'am.
Abhishek,
Present, ma'am.
Jitendra, Uday Surya,
Present, ma'am.
Subheksha,
Present, ma'am.
Dakshina,
Present, ma'am.
Patel,
Present, ma'am.
Manav,
Present, ma'am.
Saravanan,
Present, ma'am.
Srivardhan,
Present, ma'am.
Rahul,
Present, ma'am.
Surya, Tahir,
Present, ma'am.
Sangramjit,
Present, ma'am.
Vaibhav,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Pritam,
Present, ma'am.
Ankan Roy,
Yes, ma'am.
Karthik,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna, Isha, Ishan Chawla,
Present, ma'am.
Balaji,
Present, ma'am.
Mohit,
Present, ma'am.
Shyam,
Present, ma'am.
Sriram, Anaka Sriram,
Present, ma'am.
Praneeth,
Present, ma'am.
Avinash,
Present, ma'am.
Akash,
Present, ma'am.
Remita Austin,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna,
Present, ma'am.
Harish,
Present, ma'am.
Anupama,
Present, ma'am.
Balaji,
Ma'am.
Maharshi, Harish Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Jayant,
Present, ma'am.
Deepak Balaji,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Varun, Punisha,
Present, ma'am.
Deep Prasad.
Ma'am, Monisha.
Present, ma'am.
Now see the absentees. Ayush, Ishwar Reddy, Bhavraj,
Ma'am, present. Ma'am, present. Bhavraj, present.
Surya Sri Venkat, Meg- okay, Maharshi and Sai.
Ma'am, ma'am.
Tell me.
Maharshi Roy
Tell
is
me.
present, ma'am.
Who, ma'am?
Maharshi Roy, 19 BC 1746.
Anyone else present? We'll update in VTop ma, once it is open, because here you can see it is not at all enabled for today's attendance. Okay. So if you have any doubts, please ask me, ma. So I will upload only the DM part. Okay. Only the distributed memory part I will upload in Teams. DSM, once it is completed along with MPI, then we can, I will update it. Okay. And the textbook that you have to follow for this module 4, it is already given here. Polaris Distributed Systems by Addison Vardian. So Polaris, this textbook we will be using for all the distributed systems part. And for module 3, I have told that it is what is the name? Anant grammar textbook you have to follow. Okay. So I think so this is the textbook. So distributed systems, concepts and design by George Coleridge. Okay. I think up to our seventh module, we will be following this textbook only. Okay. It is, you can download it from net. If there are any doubts, you can stay on, otherwise you can do. So for module 3, Anantagramma, for module 4, this is the textbook. And some of the concepts, it can be from, because for MPI language, we have to discuss. For that, I will be taking resources from other textbooks, because MPI, we can have from Introduction to High Performance Computing. Okay. Distributed memory, parallel programming with MPI. So when the MPI part comes, this textbook, for only the DM introduction, that and all, you can follow Coleridge. Okay, ma? If there are any doubts, you can stay, ma. Otherwise, you can leave.